What's going on? This is Full Throttle Freedom, and today I'm going to be installing my Yamaha Genuine engine guards on my 2022 Yamaha MT-09. Okay, and here's all the parts outside of their bags. What I did is I separated it into the right side and the left side parts, and I left all the hardware inside the bags so that when we bring everything out to the garage, we don't lose it. It's nice because they labeled the actual engine guards here with the right and the left. And for these silver metal pieces, you can see pretty clearly there are two different sides. Based on the instructions, the one with the MT-09 lettering on the left side is supposed to go to the right side of the bike, and the MT-09 lettering on the right side is supposed to go to the left side of the bike. Okay, and here's a really valuable lesson on why you should always check your parts before you begin installation. So, Yamaha only sent me one of these, they're calling them rubber grommets, and there's supposed to be one for each side, and they're gonna go in this bottom hole here. So on the right side, it's gonna go here, and on the left side, it's gonna go here. So I'm gonna take this back to the dealer here, and I'm gonna let them know so that they can order me another one of these and see what they can do, so stay tuned.
Okay, now finally, after about a month of waiting, I finally got in this grommet that I've been waiting for. So now I have two of them, which is what I need to complete this install. So without any further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare each individual engine guard. So we'll start with the right side here, and since we waited for so long to get them in, why don't we start by installing the grommet. I always hate doing these, but once they're in, then they should never come out. But these ones weren't too bad, so there we go. So that's one. Okay, and then we're going to take our 3 well nuts. So there's 6 of them total, 3 for each engine guard, and we're going to slide them into these 3 holes here. Okay, and next we're going to take our metal engine guard here, and we're going to install it onto the engine guard mount. And so you're going to use these small screws here, and so just so you know, these are 3mm hex, so they're just going to thread into those well nuts. Okay, and torque for these screws is listed as 0.65 Newton meters, but that's so small that there's no torque wrench in the world unless you get like one of those tiny torque wrenches that's gonna go that low. So the biggest thing is you don't want to break off the head, so we're just gonna tighten it down a little bit. We should be good. Just nice and snug, and we should be fine. Okay, and the last thing for this side is we need to install this rubber backing. So this one is just you're gonna flip it over, and it should just slide right in. And this will just make it where the engine guard's not gonna harm the bike at all. There we go, that's one side done. Okay, and let's do the other side. So again, let's start with the grommet here, and we're gonna do the left side this time. You can see the L. So the grommet this time is gonna go in this bottom hole here. Yeah, these aren't too bad at all. I've dealt with some of these rubber grommets or the well nut tight style of inserts that's just so difficult to get in. So these are way better. Okay, and then let's take our 3 well nuts, stick it into their holes. Okay, and again, let's get our little metal engine guard, then our 3 bolts, and then tighten them down. So let's grab that rubber backing again, and then this is going to slide right in here, protect our engine casing. Okay, and that's currently all that we can do in here. So let's head out to the bike and finish up the install out there. Okay, and next, before we install anything on the bike, I think it's important to give everything a good wipe down before we put anything on, seal it up. So I just have a 50-50 Simple Green and water mix. You can probably use dish soap and water, whatever works best. But I'm just going to spray a little on a microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to wipe everything down, just so that when we install it, there's not a bunch of bugs or grease or whatever else gets trapped in there. Okay, now with the cleaning out of the way, let's get started with this right side here. So the 3 bolts we're looking at is this one, and this one. So they kind of make that triangle just like the engine guard. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these 3. They fit a 5mm hex. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and if you'd like, you can just fully remove these bolts. We're not gonna use these at all anymore, but make sure to keep them, because if you ever decide to take off your engine guard, you're gonna wanna have those because the other bolts will not fit. Okay, next we're gonna take our little mounting bracket here. It's this black piece, and then we're gonna take our Torx bit as well. So you're gonna need a Torx head socket here, and you're gonna thread this guy into this bottom hole here. Be careful that you don't cross thread. Very, very vital. Okay, and torque on this is going to be 12 Newton meters. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and place this large well nut into this hole here. Okay, and now for the engine guard here, we're going to take 2 of these silver flange washers. We're going to install them in these top 2 holes here, and they should fit pretty snug. So even if you flip it over, they're not gonna come out. Okay, so just like that. Okay, and now let's take our 2 bolts that came as a set of 3. They're the only bolts that there was 3 to begin with. So we'll take these 2, and then we're gonna take 2 of our black washers. Okay, and both of these are going to thread into these holes here. So let's slide them in. And then let's take both of our large spacers, these silver spacers here. They're going to go on the other side like this. Okay, and these 2 are going to thread into these top 2 holes here. Okay, and both of these bolts need to be tightened down to 12 Newton meters. Okay, and now we're going to take our flange collar, this black one. We're going to slide it onto this small bolt here, facing this way. And then we're going to thread this guy into the well nut on the engine guard here. Okay, and again, there is a torque for this one. It's listed at 0.7 Newton meters or 0.5 foot-pounds. However, that again is very low. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tighten it down till it's snug. We'll say that's just about good right there. You can give it a tug, make sure that well nut is really locked in there. Yeah, all that well nut's doing is it's just preventing the engine guard from coming out. But what's really holding it in was that Torx bolt that we threaded in earlier, which is sitting right in behind here. This one is just there to hold. It's kind of like a fairing, I guess, like a fairing bolt, but it's just holding in that engine guard, and that's it. Okay, now for the other side, it's pretty much the same process with a couple key differences. One of the differences being that we're going to remove 4 bolts instead of 3. So it's going to be these 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for these bolts here, these 2 at the bottom, you are actually going to reuse. So why don't we start with that so that it's done and out of the way. So there's 1 and there's 2. So make sure you keep track of which one is which. And so with these, we're actually going to take this black bracket here and we're going to install it right on the bottom there. Okay, and let's go ahead and install this. Okay, and again, both of these are going to be tightened down to 12 Newton meters. Okay, and again, these other two bolts can just be set to the side. Okay, and now preparing our engine guard is going to be very similar. We're going to take two of these silver flanged washers and slide them right into here. And then we're going to take this kind of dark brown, black, whatever you want to call that, gold spacer. This one has a flange spacer, and we're going to slide this into the grommet here, into the bottom. Okay, and then we have three different sizes of bolts. So the shortest one, we're going to take this one, we're going to place it in the bottom here, and then I'm not going to do this yet, but this one's going to go with one of the long spacers. It's going to go like that. Okay, and then let's grab our two black washers. I'm going to slide one on each of these bolts. Okay, now for these two, so this one was the medium one from before, the one in the middle. So that one is going to go on the left side here at the top. And then the long one is going to go on this right hand side here at the top. Okay, and then we got a short and a long silver spacer. So the short spacer is going to go on this left side here. Long spacer is going to go on this right side here. And then let's thread these into the engine here. Okay, and now let's take our other bolt, the shortest one, and then our long spacer. Long spacer, you're not going to be able to see this very well, but we're going to slide it in behind, line it up, and then you're going to just take the bolt, push it through the spacer, and then at the bottom here, this is where that bracket is. So you're just going to thread this bolt right into that bracket. Okay, and now I'm going to tighten all these down. And again, all three of these bolts need to be tightened down to 12 Newton meters. Okay, and that wraps up my install for the Yamaha genuine engine guards on my 2022 Yamaha MT-09. Thanks for watching, and be sure to ride safe.